ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Matthew George. Go follow him at MG28 Sports on X, and of course on the Sports Grid, and catch his two podcasts twice a week with Coach James Young, live from New York City. Matthew, is on my Cape Cod, a little dreary, little rain this morning, as we have 2 weeks left in August. I was talking to Matthew backstage. OMG, where has the time gone? Headliner today, Caitlyn Clark and Fever make a guest stop at TD Garden versus the Sun on Tuesday. It was a day that Boston embraced the WNBA. There's been talks that that's the next stop for the WNBA is Boston to get a team. It's been crickets of late, so I'm of course going to ask Matthew his thoughts there. And of course, Caitlyn Clark doesn't leave the game unscathed. A lot of experts or people around our lane says shut her down to the playoffs. We've seen enough, but we'll get to that. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, chops, seafood, appetizers, wines, you name it, Terry's got it. Head on over to East Coast, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Use the promo code STEAKS10. Get 10% off your full order. So without further ado, Mr. Matthew George. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. How are we doing?
We're doing great. I talked about Caitlyn Clark. I talked about the WNBA. I talked about Boston. It sounded like this was a layup. It was a no-brainer. Of course, you know, we have the Connecticut Suns, Mohegan Suns, I think they play in Connecticut there. Boston seemed like the next stop. They had parades. They had sold out TD Garden. I know it was because of Caitlyn Clark. Initial thoughts on Caitlyn Clark's trip to Boston?
Yeah, and I think that's the way that the league is still trying to go to in terms of how to get the viewership, how to get people involved, how to get people to enjoy the game, and this is the best. This is probably one of the better ways to expand and enjoy the game. So I think going into TD Garden is one of the better ways to do it. Not to mention that the Celtics are one of the better teams, franchises in the world. So it's a great way to venture out in terms of that kind of aspect. So especially since obviously one of the most popular players in the sport in terms of the WNBA, and Caitlyn Clark. So it makes sense.
She's starting to get a lot of scrutiny, where she is the hero for the brand, for the league. She was not taken very lightly when she came in because she was already put on that pedestal. And a lot of the seasoned veterans that paved the way for Caitlyn were kind of taken back by it. Now this year, groin injury, not once, not twice. Now maybe it seems like 3 times. Not shooting well. Now there's people outside looking in. Chinks in her armor. Well, she's really not as good as everyone takes her out to be. I know it's when you're injured, you kind of overcompensate, and she's rushed back to help the team. This nonsense talk, Matthew, not justified, correct?
I mean, it's a very sticky situation that the Fever are in right now. You want to protect your players as much as you can, especially like a player like Caitlyn Clark. But also, you're trying to also win to compete for a playoff spot. So, which the Fever have been struggling to do all season, with or without Caitlyn Clark. They've won games without her, and they've lost games without her. Majority they've lost games without her. So, it's a very it sucks to see that Caitlyn Clark is being in this kind of situation. You saw her at the end of the game against Connecticut, as you mentioned, being grimacing and also just being so emotional in the bench after she felt that right groin strain. So she's been dealing with that now. She didn't play last night against the Liberty, even though it was a decently tough game at the start. But then Liberty was able to come out the gates and come away with the victory. So it's tough times in Indiana. It just seems like something's happening in terms of how they should be able to try to create space and also try to create some opportunity for Caitlyn Clark to come back. It's not looking good in Indiana. Let's see what happens to the rest of the second half of the season, but it's not looking good so far.
Some of your other headlines and notes as I'm going over them right now. Paul George, successful arthroscopic procedure in his left knee on Monday to treat an injury suffered during a recent workout. Still have some belief in 76ers.
Yeah, I have a decent amount of faith in the 76ers this upcoming season, but it's all going to depend on the health, and that's going to be that's been the focal point for like a God knows how long for the 76ers, especially with the main headline in Joel Embiid if he's going to stay healthy. But my expectation, and this is only my opinion, but the expectation for the 76ers as a whole is that Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid can be that dynamic trio. And with the young players of Jared McCain and VJ Edgecombe, you have a good team right there. It's just a matter of how this team can balance out, and if that entire team can, number one, stay healthy, because they can be a top 4, top 3, even top 3 team in the Eastern Conference if they want to compete. Because the Boston Celtics, sadly, your Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers are not going to be really competing for a title this season. So this is going to be the biggest way and the biggest step for the 76ers, and this is probably the biggest way to for them to make a run for this season for the title. So it's all about if everyone can stay healthy, especially Jared McCain, because Jared McCain was last season in the front runner for Rookie of the Year. Like, there was no chance that anyone could even catch him, even Stephon Castle, even the winner of it all, who got it last season in Stephon Castle. So we'll see how it goes. I think Jared McCain can be a great 6-man. He's like, I believe, 3-1 to last time my coach and I did the podcast yesterday, saying that Jared McCain could be some kind of a 6-man. It's just a matter of if he either starts or VJ Edgecombe starts. But I believe if VJ Edgecombe starts with Tyrese Maxey, and Jared McCain comes off the bench and just be a great 6-man off the bench, because he's a great scorer. But let's see how that balances out for the 76ers this upcoming season.
Matthew, 7 straight years, 7 different champions. You look at the Celtics 2 years ago, the big 2 of Tatum and Brown. You look at this year, the big 3, SGA, Williams, and Chet Holmgren. The years of the seasoned veteran teams, when I grew up, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Jordan teams, the Pistons, that model doesn't work now. Just take a look at the Clippers. Take a look at the Lakers. Take a look at that Philly team that you were breaking down. The only thing that you're breaking down really is their medical records. I mean, Embiid, George. I mean, I like to hear the name Maxey. I like to hear the Rooks. These veterans are not a part of championship teams. They just when's the last time a veteran team has cut the nets down?
LeBron James, probably back in
Yeah,
2020 with the Lakers. That's all
yeah.
I can think of.
So I look. It'll be interesting now. Two veterans with potential rookie of the year, and of course I'm talking about Dallas, Kyrie, AD, and Cooper Flag. Now you got two hurt guys and a rook. And it's just it's the youth movement, it's the NBA. These teams are stuck. They're under contract. It's not like you can just, unless you want to be the Bucks. Here, we're going to eat the 110 million. We're going to waive and extend and see you later.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to compete for a title, and it's gonna be very interesting to see how everything unfolds this upcoming season. This is gonna be the probably the most interesting season that I'm gonna probably see in my entire life, like lifetime, as an NBA fan. Because as an NBA fan, I'm like covering the NBA for a long time, so it's. I want to see how these teams can compete. Now, when we're talking about the Mavericks. All about it's again the same thing like we said about the 76ers. It's the same thing as usual because of the veterans. Guys need to stay healthy, especially their big men with Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, who went through a procedure as well and who is dealing with that toe injury, and Kyrie obviously coming back from his ACL injury. So it's like there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things moving around, especially that Luka Doncic is gone now. They have the number one pick in Cooper Flag, so it's a lot of moving parts. So we'll see how everything unfolds. My expectation for at least in my opinion for Cooper Flag is to maintain that point guard role until Kyrie Irving comes back. When the introductory press conference came in from Jason Kidd and Nico Harrison, Jason Kidd said that he's gonna pressurize Cooper Flag to be in that point guard kind of role. So he's gonna feel the pressure of having the ball in his hands to actually be moving up and down the court, especially when full court pressure happens. So he's gonna be handling that kind of situations as well. So we'll see how everything unfolds for the Mavericks. It's going to be a very, very interesting season, especially as we mention every time. It's a very stacked Western Conference, not to mention. So, I mean, we'll see how everything unfolds.
Colin Cowherd being Colin Cowherd. We don't say the four-letter word here, ESP. You know what? I usually don't talk about Fox, even though I do regular hits on Fox Sports Radio. LeBron to Dallas, buying or selling?
Oh, come on. I mean, as much as that'd be very interesting to see. How you gonna pay him is gonna be one question, and second of all, do you really want to have another quote unquote dynamic duo again with Anthony Davis? They tried doing it a couple of years. They only won once, and that was technically the bubble. I don't know if anybody really counts it. I mean, it is a championship after all, but I don't think LeBron wants to deal with that kind of situation where he's won a championship with Kyrie. I get that, but he's also injured. You won already with AD. Try to do something else. I think the best way, and I this is going to be very controversial because I'm saying this in New York, and also Coach also said this as well. He's not saying this from a fan perspective, from the way the league is right now. If LeBron James decides to go anywhere in terms of popularity and in terms of where he can get the much heavy room, it's going to be New York. And I agree with this as well when he said this. You gain the popularity, you gain the fandomship from MSG because everyone will go absolutely nuts over that from a fan perspective. From a financial perspective, you get that viewership every single time for the rest of the year if LeBron James decides to go to the Knicks. It's a very much of a long shot because of how the payroll is and how everything goes. But I wouldn't mind seeing him in the back in the Eastern Conference. It doesn't have to be the Knicks, but it would be very interesting for him to come back into the Eastern Conference because it's so wide open.
Bradley Beal gets bought out by the Suns, re-signs 2 years with the Clippers.
Yeah, this is a very good pickup by the Clippers, but now it's all veterans question mark because now you got rid of Norman Powell, which I understand because they tried to give him an extension, they didn't want it, so he got sent to Miami. Now it's a matter of you have James Harden, a injury prone Kawhi Leonard, and Bradley Beal. So where is this going to be leading up to? Are you going to put James Harden and is it going to be James Harden, Devaka Zubac, Kawhi Leonard, and then their power forward as well? So we'll see how that all unfolds. I think that's probably how the way they're going to do it. But now it's just a matter of can all these guys compete in the Western Conference? I don't know. In my opinion, I think they're probably the fifth or fourth best team at best in the East in the Western Conference. But now it's just a matter of how all these teams can manage each other. That's the biggest question.
Last but not least, Mavs shut down Cooper Flag. Rest of the Summer League, 31 points against those Lakers. Mavs have seen enough. We've seen enough already. Let's get the regular season going.
Yeah, as we mentioned that Cooper Flag is going to be the main focal point for the offense this upcoming season until Kyrie Irving comes back. But I think that this is the way that you showcase what you can do. It's a matter of how much he can sustain it. He even said in one of the interview back in that interview after that 31-point game, he felt exhausted because of all that full court pressure that the Lakers were giving him. So we'll see how he can do. He needs to continue in his conditioning because that's how he's going to be able to handle that kind of full court pressure and be able to handle the ball. So we all know he can score the ball, he can pass, he can rebound, he can also defend. Now it's just a matter of doing that for a full 40 minutes each and every game throughout the season, and also do not get hit by the injury bug, because the Mavericks as an organization so far with the players that they have been hit by the injury bug with all their main players and even some of the players off the bench. So it's a mixed bag of nuts, but it's going to be very interesting to see if they can compete in the Western Conference as well.
WNBA. We'll get to that as our closing thought. NBA Summer League tonight. Two games, one at 4, one at 4:30. Detroit, Miami, Indiana, and the Knicks. 6:30 Atlanta, Memphis. 7:30 San Antonio, Charlotte. 8 o'clock Houston, Portland. Boston, LA at 9, and then the nightcaps: Golden State, Toronto, Denver, and the Clippers rounded off at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. What's your eyes see?
So I'm looking at 3 games today. So there's only a matter of time and a matter of like who's playing tonight, because a lot of players are being shut down for the rest of the summer league to be not just because of they're injured or just because like something has happened. Either that is like we mentioned with Cooper Flag, they've seen enough and they know what they expect for this upcoming season for some of these rookies. But for some of them are second years that are like trying to compete also for a roster spot. This is their time to showcase what they can do to compete for an extra for that roster spot for their respective teams. So let's go with 3 teams tonight. So Pacers at Knicks, the Spurs at Hornets, and the Rockets at Blazers. First up with the Knicks, we're gonna go with the spread at +1 versus the Pacers at -110. The big expectation on my end is Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek, who has been a very dynamic player since he came out of Marquette, and now is trying to compete for a roster spot. Obviously, last season he was with the team on their rotational standpoint, but he scored 25 points, hitting 5 threes against the Nets last game. So I expect another good 15 to 20 points out of him because he's a good scorer. He could shoot from 3 as well, as we mentioned. So he can effectively shoot the ball. Let's go with the Spurs. If and only if they decide to put Dylan Harper and plays tonight, because he still needs to show a little bit more in terms of the way, in terms of his offensive efficiency and the way he could pass the ball. He can do it. It's just a matter of last game he really struggled passing the ball and struggling shooting from the floor. 5 of 16, only 16 points and 2 assists and 5 turnovers. So that's not a good assist to turnover ratio. So we'll see how he does tonight if he does decide to play against the Hornets. We'll see. I don't think we'll see how Continental does on the flip side as well, because he's also the top four, one of the fourth pick overall in this year's draft. Lastly, we'll go with the Blazers spread against the Rockets because they have so many young talent, so much young talent. The biggest one, as you see on the left side, with Yang Hansen making an impact on inside the paint, passing the ball and making some defense as well, blocking some shots. I fully expect him to try to get a double double as well, because I think he's probably going to get some more opportunities inside the paint, because he'll be able to do that as well. Also, a bigger standpoint in the four-year player in Caleb Love. Caleb Love was dynamic in his last game with 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists. So make sure to see like how he's doing. Obviously, there's no player props as well, but in terms of how the rookies and these guys are developing, look for him to shoot the ball a little more, especially since the way that this team is right now. The team as a whole, and obviously they're still trying to just develop these young players as well. So we'll see how Yang Hansen and Caleb Love decide to develop as Summer League comes on.
We'll end here. WNBA All Star Game today. Team Clark plus 124. Team Collier minus 146. Over under 246 and a half. MVP Collier plus 430. Clark plus 800. I assume she's not playing. And the list there: Plum, Sabrina, Asia Wilson. Give us your WNBA All Star outlook.
It's gonna be so interesting. It's sad to see that the biggest face in Caitlyn Clark is not playing. Is not gonna. I mean, I would think she wouldn't play tonight because of the groin injury. So save her the hardship of not playing in this All Star game. But and also it's sad to say that she's not going to also compete in that 3 point contest as well. So we'll see how that goes. I fully expect the biggest one obviously being Sabrina Ionescu, even though the rest of this season as a whole hasn't been really good for her. She hasn't really been shooting the ball well, but we'll see how she does in the 3 point contest. Other than that, it's a full expectation for this for Team Clark to win this one. I think, in my opinion, but Team Collier has been so dynamic. So I think in that perspective, we'll go with that. We'll go with Team Nafisha Collier, because that now that Caitlin Clark is not actually in the mix, we'll see how that goes. I think the Fisher Collier's team comes out on the victory tonight.
We'll have you back tomorrow, same time. We'll recap the WNBA game. We'll talk about what will be last night's results in the NBA Summer League. We'll talk NBA Summer League again tomorrow. We'll talk about what you see on the weekend. As we always wrap up this segment, Matthew, everyone knows on X where to find you at MG28 Sports. But I'd like to give you the mic here to talk about Sports Grid, Coach James Young, and the rest of your endeavors.
Yep, as Jeff mentioned, Coach James Young and I do a podcast that releases every Tuesday and Thursday. We record Monday and Wednesday, everything up to the college basketball, WNBA, and the NBA as well. We'll be covering mainly the futures for the NBA as this upcoming season is upon us very soon in October, and then the rest of the WNBA as the season second half of the season wraps around, and then in-game live game day 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern happens throughout the entire week with Scott Wetzel and obviously his co-host beside him, as Dave Sherapan is still recovering as well from his surgery. So get well soon, Dave. And then I produce that show every Tuesday and Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. We have some guests just like Jeff Dawson as well, throughout each night. So it's going to be a very fun and very interesting season, especially since I want to mention as well the biggest thing of the week so far being in, not to mention Caitlin Clark, the All-Star game in Major League Baseball, where a tie came in, where the American League came back after being down after being now 0-2 for that the entire game. Bats came alive, and then next thing you know, they go into a home run shootout, which you haven't seen ever. And I think this is a good way that the league had like initialized it to where you have a tiebreaker. Okay, we'll hit some home runs and hit some dingers, so fans can get some balls, and also it's a great way for them to showcase their power.
Yeah, it was kind of comical. What was it? 4-0, 6-2. Next thing you know, 6-4. I was watching Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. He takes the over 10.5, and they get a 2-run homer, 6-6. And then they go into a shootout where Schwarber went 3 for 3, and they win 7-6, and he wins the MVP. So listen, I'm a purist. Listen, I've sat through 5-hour games on Father's Day that went 17 innings at Fenway. I'm that guy. If I'm going to a baseball game, I'm there till the last pitch, and it's an event for me. It's not, hey, I'm staying for the first 6 and I'm beating the crowd. I've always been that way. So they're trying some new stuff, robot umpires, yada yada yada. So we'll see how it goes. So tomorrow, 11 a.m., Matthew George back again, talking WNBA, NBA, and much, much more. 11:30, Sean Alvarez, Smooth Turn 2. Doing a little Saratoga, and I think he said Del Mar opening weekend there as well. So make sure you catch on. British Open going on right now as we speak. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Mr. Matthew George at MG28 Sports. Have a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves and stay tuned.